Premier Daniel Andrews is being accused of backflipping on his promises after announcing a cautious pause on Melbourne restrictions. There were no new cases of COVID-19 recorded in Victoria today and 0 deaths.
Let's get today's take on this with Shelley Horton from Night and Honey and the journalist at the Saturday paper, Osman Faruqi. Oz, let's go to you first. Down there, Melbourne, has done everything that Daniel Andrews has asked and more. On Sunday, you had to feel for everybody because the goalposts kept moving. Has plenty of people out there thinking that contact tracing just isn't up to scratch and that the government just are so insecure with it that they can't handle these local outbreaks. What are your thoughts there today?
Yeah, yesterday was a confusing day for a lot of Melburnians, I think. Like, the goalposts and the times have shifted quite a lot. The original roadmap was supposed to see restrictions ease today. The government said they could be brought forward a week. That didn't happen. They then said it would be pushed back to the start of November. Then they foreshadowed that yesterday we might have seen some changes. Ultimately, that's not what happened. So I kind of think the issue that the government has here is that they've just not been clear enough about if they've got a deadline, they should stick to it. I think they've been giving some mixed signals on the days that things would change. And that's frustrating, I guess, particularly for business owners who need a couple of days head start to buy their stock, get their businesses cleaned up and ready to go. But that said, I mean, I think it's hard to get too angry about the announcement being postponed by a couple of days as we deal with this outbreak. I think that there's still a lot of questions to be answered about whether or not tracing has built up its capacity enough to handle an easing. I think we're not getting the transparency we need on exactly how cases are being transmitted. But I think that's a separate issue to the fact that if there's concern about an outbreak, before we open up, let's take a day and process these test results. And it looks like, fingers crossed, we might still be able to open on November 2nd as planned.
Yeah, it surely gives Daniel Andrews no joy to keep the state or the city of Melbourne in lockdown any longer. Is it fair to lay all the blame at his feet, Shelley?
Oh, I think we're getting to the point where it is fair because he is the one who's making sure that everyone is in lockdown. We've got the Prime Minister calling for it to be open. We've got health experts calling for it to be open. I mean, you cannot get a better result than zero. So I think it is really time. We've looked at the economic impact. I think we now need to be looking at the mental health impact. And I think Oz is a very nice, kind person saying that you can't get too angry. No, my friends are angry. My friends in Melbourne are really angry and they are sick of being in lockdown. So I think it's time to make sure that Dan Andrews is pouring money into contact tracing. That is going to be their way out of here. So why on earth would they not just throw money at it? Because it's costing everyone. Let's make it happen.
Or at least follow whatever system New South Wales and Queensland are using, because it's working in New South Wales. It's working in Queensland.
And I think today if we saw 0 cases, if there isn't a significant announcement today, that will raise a lot of concerns because how much better than 0 cases can you get?
That's
the
right.
cases have been trending. That's what will raise questions about
Yeah,
this.
true. Now, some of the biggest names in business are backing the Let's Melbourne Again campaign, which aims to reinvigorate the city and support its economic recovery from the COVID-19. Let's have a look.
Let's get ready to walk the Bluestones again. Let's curse Punt Road. Let's ride the Frankston line. Let's dodge swooping Maggies. Let's cross the inglorious river. Let's get ready to chuck hook turns in the rain. Let's order obnoxious coffees. Let's queue for dimmies. Let's Melbourne again. An initiative to reinvigorate Melbourne from those who love this city.
I mean, it's a good idea, Shell. Business leaders hope a series of special deals and fun initiatives will lure visitors back as well, restore Melbourne's status as the most livable city in the world. What do you reckon?
I love this ad so much because you know what? After they have been in lockdown for this long, you are going to be missing the stuff that you used to curse. You are. Like, I lived in Melbourne for 5 years. I still never understood the hook turns. It was very confusing. But I love that they actually are not being too mamby-pamby. They're actually sort of taking the mickey out of themselves about their obnoxious coffees and all of the things that they would normally complain about. Because I remember when Sydney came out of lockdown and the first time I got to sit down at a cafe and have a coffee, it was like, Jesus music went off. It was fantastic.
Oz, does this ad speak to you as a Melbourne resident?
Well, the interesting thing is, guys, I only moved to Melbourne in February, so I've barely been able to do anything. stuff.
So you don't understand what they're talking about in that ad.
I like let's Melbourne again. For me, it's just like let's Melbourne. You know, I don't have that emotional resonance that the ad's trying to evoke, but I'm ready to party. You know, like let's open up and take me to your favorite cafes, restaurants, theaters, bars. Let's do it.
Be as obnoxious as you want to be.
Have you even done a hook turn yet, Oz?
You have lived.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's a good way to be. Shelley and Oz, stay with us when we come back as more students turn down maths classes. Should we be making it compulsory?
And body double drama. Is the First Lady sometimes not a First Lady? Is she a fake?
Fake news.
Fake Melania.
Figures out of New South Wales this morning show nearly a quarter of HSC students are avoiding maths. There's been a steady drop in the subject, with 94% studying maths in 2000 and just 76% this year. There are now calls for more tertiary courses to include maths as a prerequisite.
Guys, I've been doing this since 1987. Shelley and Osman are still here to discuss this. Oz, what about you? I mean, I avoided all maths at school. So did you do maths in year 12?
I did maths in year 12. I did maths for 5 years at university as well. I studied engineering, so
Show off.
Sorry. I sucked at it, but I forced myself to do it. I think this is a really important one, actually, guys, because I think maths is something that when you learn it at school doesn't seem important or relevant, and it's not really until you're older that you realize that the skills that you're learning are so helpful in so many different parts of your life and so many different potential careers. And I think maybe instead of using the stick approach of forcing kids to do math if they're not finding it engaging or interesting, we need to think better about how we can convince people that it is something that matters to them and actually get them engaged with it, because they don't care about it. If you force them to do it, that's not going to make them pay attention in class. And I think that's the next challenge we've got to deal with.
Shelley, what do you think? Should it be compulsory?
No way. I did maths and society in year 12, which is basic maths. And I remember my teacher saying, you know, you're not going to have a calculator with you every day. Hello.
Yeah.
You do. I don't need it with my profession. And I think if you're choosing a career that doesn't need it, then you shouldn't have to do it.
All right, just quickly now before you two go, making fake news, fake Melania is back. That's right. At least according to the conspiracy theorists on the internet, the latest photos of floaters boarding a jet with President Trump have reignited the debate. Let's go for a close-up here, with some believing that is the bodyguard that stands in for her from time to time, which is pretty plausible. People are saying she has different teeth. Look at that there. That's not Melania.
It is not Melania.
Shelley, what do you think?
Fake Melania, 100%.
100%.
And also, I just don't think I've ever seen her smile that broadly, ever.
No.
And I have a theory that she's like Posh Spice. Posh Spice hates her smile, and I think Melania doesn't like her smile, and so therefore, totally fake.
Or maybe she just doesn't have much to smile about. Oz?
Yeah, she's fake, totally, 100%. She doesn't smile. She's smiling in this. Let's not pretend that this is a real. that it's actually it's obviously fake.
I think what happened is
they would get away with this.
I think what happened is that after the debate last week between Joe Biden, you know, she got up again, they hugged, and then with that little flick away with the hand, and I think 8 days out, they're like, we need a happy Melania.
One flick too many.
Bring in Melanie again. Here comes Melanie, our American
Melanie
Melania.
with the broad smile.
Yeah. Thanks you too. Osmond, good luck today. Thanks, Shell.
Thanks, Sam.
We want to know what you think. Is it a fake Melania or not? Go on to Facebook and Twitter.
Coming up on Today Extra, celebrating...